Matthias, I'd like to ask you about working first of all with Marion Cotillard, because I believe that for about the first 5 minutes of that first scene that you shot together, you kind of were scared of her in a kind of way. Tell me what happened.
Yeah, well, it was not. I wasn't scared, but the very first scene we shot together was, I think, the second week of the shoot, and I knew she was exhausted because she just had a baby and she was shooting Batman. She was going back and forth. So that was kind of exhausting for her. And so first day I come to set and everybody's setting up and I see her sitting in a wheelchair with the hair down, just like completely exhausted. I was like, oh my God, what's going on? This, I don't know. So I said hi to her and she was like, hi. I was like, oh, great start, here we go. And then then she really surprised me. She took me by surprise the very first rehearsal, and and from there on, I realized, okay, she's just sucked in and she's ready to go. And then from the very first rehearsal, it was clear to me that we were off for a very particular journey, and we had a very genuine, organic connection.
And you can see that your role as well, that you really put as an actor the meticulous sort of preparation in for as well, both kind of mentally, in terms of who your character is, and also in terms of your physicality as well, as you have done with many of your roles. I think of things like Bullhead, where you completely changed your physique as well, didn't you, for that? And you kind of done a similar thing for Rust and Bone, haven't you? Tell me a little bit about what was involved in that for you.
Well, obviously the two characters you're referring to are very physical in the sense that the characters express themselves more through their physicality than verbally. So there's a similarity there. But to me, both characters are extremely different in the way they approach life, and the way they feel about life, and the way they deal with life. So for Rust and Bone, there was a big physical preparation required. So Jacques wanted me to grow a little belly, but to look strong at the same time, but not fit, not some guy that spent hours in the gym daily. No, it's someone who's eating bad, who looks pretty much unhealthy because he doesn't have the means to eat properly. And so I had to box, of course, for the part, and we rehearsed the fighting sequences over and over again because they had to be really brutal and pretty intense. So we had to be really well prepared. So there's no accidents on set because these guys in front of me were pretty scary, I can tell. So that was one part of the preparation, was the physical part, and the other part is just making sure that by the time you start shooting, you're in the right state of mind and in the right state of being to be able to release whatever emotion needs to be released in the instant, in the scene itself. So it's just about being open, being sensitive and ready to be in the instant.
And you have to be very prepared as well to work with a director like Jacques Audiard, don't you? Yeah. Tell me a bit about how you worked together.
Well, Jacques he's an artist, and he's permanently looking for life in the moment itself. For him, movie making for him is a very organic thing. So he wants to bring it to life in the moment itself. So he doesn't have preconceptions about a scene. Of course, he wrote the screenplay, so he knows about his characters. He knows about the energy that he wants. But then it's trying to bring it to life in the moment that you're on set in those specific circumstances. So he's a very generous director. He gives you a lot of freedom. He gives you a lot of things, but he wants you to propose him a lot of things, so they feed him. So that brings his ideas to another place, and so it's a permanent exchange. So that is extremely exciting, and he's one of a kind. He's really one of a kind. And he's very sensitive, very intelligent, has a great sense of humor. And I think that is the magical key, I guess, having a great sense of humor. Yeah.
So would you like to work with him again then?
Absolutely, no doubt about it.
And you're going to be working with Marion again, aren't you?
Well, we wrapped it up already. Yeah, we shot it in June, but I don't have any scenes with her. No. My wife in the film is Zoe Saldana, which is not it's quite amazing as well. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're being directed by her husband, aren't you, Guillaume?
Yes.
Canet as well.
Yes.
How was that, after working with Marion and being directed by Guillaume?
It was a lot of fun. Guillaume is a very, first of all, he's a very talented director, and second of all, he's just a very kind, passionate human being, and so that's always fun to work with. Has a very funky energy. Hey, they're coming to get me. I'm sorry, I gotta go. So no, he's funny. He's sharp. He's everything I like about people.
What was it like shooting in New York?
Well, what is it like shooting in New York? That's probably every young actor's or European. I don't know every, but to me, it's funny. You know, New York is just a mythical city, especially for films as well. So many great films have been shot there, and to shoot in Brooklyn. In a film which is set in the 70s, it's amazing. I loved everything about it. Yeah.
And finally, you've remade a Belgian thriller as well.
Yes.
It, aren't you?
No, we shot that a year and a half ago, and probably they're releasing it in April. Yeah, so that's a long time ago. I shot Rust and Bone already, and that came out. So it feels weird talking about a film that I've shot a year and a half ago, and that still didn't come out. But I'm excited to see it. Yeah, apparently they had a screening last week. I think it's some kind of industry screening last week in LA, and everybody really responded well to it. So I'm looking forward.